Yeah. So, hello and welcome to this maiden edition of the Learning Hour, where we will be for the next 22 sessions. We plan to deliberate upon. We plan to have the views and modus operandi of how the NEP 2020 principles have been implemented as a part of the institutional educational practices. They say that any national education policy would reach out to its zenith, its fructification only when the policy would be implemented in individual institutions per se. Today we have a very eminent panel led by Madam Surjeet Khanna uh, and also Dr. Jasjeet Sood ma'am from Karnal, OPS Vidya Mandir, and Dr. Sharda Gupta ma'am from Aurangabad, Maharashtra. And in this maiden edition, we wish to explore from our eminent panel the NEP Principle 1. It talks about recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. So I would like to invite Madam Surjeet Khanna first as to why this has been kept as the preeminent, the first principle per se, as an entire NEP principles, which are 22 in number. And then how perhaps DPS Greater Faridabad and the larger schools under her sway, her influence, and her mentorship are actually deploying this ennobling principle in practice. So, without further ado, I request Madam Surjeet Khanna to initiate today's deliberation. Madam Surjeet Khanna. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself, yeah, please.
Hello, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, loud and clear, please, ma'am.
All right. So, a very hearty morning to everybody present, and it's such a privilege to be with Rethink. And I think you are quite an adventurer as a team, you and Dr. Surbi, and you're quite fearless about treading just everywhere pertinent to uncover all the knowledge that you possibly can for the wider fraternity that you look after so well. So thank you for this privilege. And coming to the agenda for today, I think 29th July 2020 was the day NEP was introduced to the world. And for us educators, it's an important date to remember. It's 4 years now, and a few observations. I do realize now that for as big a country as our country, India is, 4 years is actually nothing. It's just a dot on the line in terms of the kind of vastness of implementation that this policy demands from all of us. I think we still have a long way to go. But the beauty is that all of us are conscious and aware that there is an NEP in place, and it's a transformative document, and it's a paradigm shift in education, and we all have a role to play. You know, every time I talk of the NEP, I'm reminded of those words of Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. So I think that's true for us today in relation to NEP too. Because if we are able to encash on this present opportunity for change, for progressive change, it is definitely the best of times for India. And should we, for some reason, whatever be the reason won't matter in the long run. But if we miss the opportunity, it is definitely the worst of times. And we are not looking for islands of excellence, isolated schools doing very well. Well, wonderful. I mean, kudos to them. But what we need is every school, no matter where it is, so long there is even one child attending that school, we want that school to matter. We want that school to be a powerful center for learning and growth for all the children involved. And I think that's the kind of passion all of us as educators need to espouse within us if we are to make a difference, especially in relation to Principle 1, because that is so child centric. And in fact, NEP is child centric. That's what is at the core. And when I think of the first principle, I'm reminded of these five underlying words, access, equity, uh, and affordability. And there are two, three, I think, additional words that I think are really, really important. Let me just check. I made a note of them yesterday when I was studying about it. So I think first and foremost is the access part of it. If every child is not going to have access to amazing education, the story finishes right there. Yeah, the words that I have in mind are access, equity. We all understand that because hand holding will need to be different in terms of every child, in terms of every institution, in terms of every educator, in terms of every parent, because nobody is equal. This is something we all experience every day. Then we are looking for quality. Anything that is not up to the mark is not going to meet the outcomes that it desires to. Access, we have to build in. Access is right now not there fully. And accountability, I think this is the most important part. A for access and A for accountability. If we educators can take care of the accountability that we stand for in terms of what we endeavor to deliver, and we don't just, I have often noticed that the report card is always the child's report card. It's the child's performance. The teacher presents that report card to the parent and to the child and says, lo and behold, ye lo ji, this is your child's performance. Or bache, this is your performance. So I always have held that opinion that it is somewhere reflecting us as educators. And if you want to walk away from it, well, there is a kind of socialization pattern which allows the educator to walk away. But actually, you shouldn't be walking away at all. You need to sit down with that report card and say, this reflects how well I was able to get across and elicit cooperation and learning zeal, or organize the learning environment for the child. Where could I have done more? So no matter what policy is in place, at the end, it's a conversation of every teacher with every child in every school. So what kind of conversation that is, and what kind of access the child has to amazing stuff from you, what kind of accountability you have for the stuff that you deliver. Let's hope it's really amazing. These two things are the A and Z. And within them lie, of course, all the other things that I mentioned: equity, quality, and affordability, because you have to see what it is that you can bring to the table. Not every learning tool is possible. You select some which are affordable, which are doable for you, and you work your magic through them. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am, perfectly, perfectly. And I think our other panelists, they can just come in as well. Yeah. Please, ma'am, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, so you must let me know. Just put your hand up when you think it's time for me to stop, because I know it's important to apportion a good amount of time to everybody. So I'm right now post my close of innings with DPS Greater Faridabad as its founder principal. I right now am actively doing a trainings for CBSE, and there's a very beautiful module that they've designed. It reads as educating parents on education. Mm-hmm. And the teachers of the school are the ones who receive this module from CBSE. and are trained for their interaction and conversation with parents on what education under NEP is now all about. And apart from the exposure that this workshop provides to a very progressive pedagogies, active learning, 21st century competencies, more awareness of the learning outcomes in designing the very lesson that must take place in every class, every day, across every subject, inside and outside the classroom, or in any learning space of the school, or even the school bus and assemblies and so on and so forth. There is also a very beautiful module which is titled KYC, Know Your Child.
Mm-hmm.
And that aims to sensitize the parent on making an effort to understand your child as an individual, as a living person, as a person who is flesh and blood, all right? Not just somebody that you gave birth to, and not just somebody who must conform to your expectations. It talks about understanding boundaries, about understanding power struggles, about aiding learning within the home and at school, and partnership with the school teachers. So I think more and more of this we need to discover for ourselves at every school level. And if I look back at DPS Greater Faridabad, which has been my bit of ivory, where I've learned to carve with care and learn in the process. There were a few things that we maintained very strongly. One of Apart from the quest for new opportunities and student leadership and teacher leadership, which were kind of very strongly woven into the school culture, there was this stress on relationship building. I mean, at no cost is a relationship to be lost, no matter how you are handling the curriculum, how you are handling the anecdotes that happen, how you are structuring the school experience. If you have lost a relationship and gained a point, well, you really have lost. So I think if I look back at my own life journey, and I look back also at the journey of children, thousands of them over 38 years of being an educator, I think children are strong where their relationships with their teachers and parents are strong. Mm-hmm. If either of these relationships somehow weaken for whatever the reason, the child falters and the growth is never what it could have been. So if we are looking to expand the canvas of who our children can be, it's important to also expand our own canvas to see who we can be and who our parents can be. Because all three of us need to come together no matter what policy is written down by any government. If the policy is to come alive in its spirit, it needs the shakers and doers to be together. Because it's not, you put it down on paper and the world changes. It doesn't. You got to translate it. You got to bring it into life. And you got to achieve some of the things that the paper says are worth desiring and striving for. And when it comes to human endeavor, great guidance is a wonderful thing. Like the NEP has outlined the first and foremost principle, I think it's greatest principle for any policy, the child in the center and parents and teachers by the side. But how these three together translate their working together is what is going to make all the difference. So I would spend a lot of energy on building that synergy, that symbiotic relationship between the three, which would allow great thoughts, great pedagogies, great learning opportunities, great exposure, great infrastructure, all that to work its magic, provided the three of them are connected by understanding and trust of each other. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely, ma'am. I think you have distilled, I would say, the itra, the quintessence of this entire principle. And what madam has put forth, the cornerstone of it all is the relationship building. I think at young learner level, the trust and the relationship which are there with the teachers and the principals, with the parents, that is so very phenomenal. I would now like to bring in Dr. Sharda Gupta from Aurangabad, Maharashtra, to add upon what Madam Surjeet Khanna has just mentioned about it, the importance of relationship building and all other experiments what are happening at your school under your sway. And before I bring in Dr. Shada Gupta, I would also like to invite Dr. Indu Khetrapal ma'am has also joined us. She would also be illumining this session. So, Dr. Sharda Gupta, ma'am, we would like to hear from you about your views as to how you have transliterated. This entire series is all about how to transliterate the national education policy to institutional educational practices, and that really comes from practitioners' experience, as Madam Surjeet Khanna has entailed so very beautifully. Dr. Sharda Gupta, ma'am. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself, please. Yeah.
Um, Thank you so much. I would like to congratulate Rethink India, first of all, to bring in such an amazing session. That is what I wrote in my comment also, that I am looking forward to hear from Surjeet ma'am. And, like NEP has come, but unless we discuss and as educators and bring in and hear from others what they are using at their school, and what we are putting across to our parents, we won't be able to improve on education. And I absolutely agree with you, Surjeet ma'am, that NEP's first principle is a very beautiful principle, and it talks about the holistic development, and that is what, we have been talking for years together. In fact, if you say, and if you would ask what is happening at my school, we started in 1992, but we have been following almost 80% of this NEP principles in our school right from that time. In 1992, we had started with clubs which were co-curricular as well as curricular, and we used to offer to our children something out of the box, like to and most of the activities used to be to foster that out of the box thinking in the children, so that creativity was to be enhanced. That was our major aim. And the collaboration has always been at the forefront, because until these children come together, what is the point like gaining anything alone? Unless they come together and work, nothing is of use. And then access, as you said, your very first point, they should have access to all the beautiful things and whatever the school has to bring in. And we have almost 57 clubs which are running right now at our school. And each one is so special that children look forward for, and like coming to school, and it's like, uh, that will come as one of the principles of NEP. But a school has to be a happy school, like at the core. Unless the children are happy, there's no point, like, they should wait for coming to school each and every day. So that is my point, that I want my school to be a happy school. At the same time, I have to prepare my child to face all the adversities and all the challenges which they are going to face. It has become a very complex world because of the introduction of AI. It has got its plus points, it has got its negative effects and all, but then we have to go ahead. And thank you so much. And I'm waiting to hear from you, Surjeet ma'am, further. Thank you so much.
Uh, I think phenomenal. And what Sujit ma'am has introduced a very spectacular concept of KYC. We all are haunted by our banks to do the KYC on a regular basis, re-KYC and all, but perhaps the KYC with the parents perhaps doesn't happen across the entire lifetime itself. So it's a good acronym, the Know Your Child. It will really go down very,
Yes.
very well. The time which the parents spend with the kids and the teacher and the parent compact, which is the center stay of the principal one. That is so very important. And I would now like to bring in Dr. Jasjeet Sood ma'am for her opening remarks, coming from the land of Karnal in Haryana. What she views about the principle one, which is all about recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities. Because I recollect Professor H.C. Verma, the doyen physics educator, he used to say that our education system has somewhat become a Bata shoe company, that 3 number का जूता तीसरी क्लास का बच्चा चौथी क्लास का बच्चा, it goes on and on. But recognize the personalized education which comes into play when you really spend time, when you foster a relationship. I think Surjit ma'am has given that kickstart point. You have a relationship with your child first, know your child first, and then only you will be understanding the unique capabilities of that particular child. Because as also ma'am said, that the mark sheets whatever we get, it's a multiple competencies, the 8 multiple intelligences we have. Not every child would be great in one dimension or the other. So Dr. Jasjeet Sood ma'am, drawing from the experiences of OPS Vidya Mandir Karnal and other, ma'am Sood, yeah.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Rethink India. This is very appropriate topic to deliberate on, that how we are imbibing the spirit of NEP across various sections. As far as NEP is concerned, we have to prepare students for real world. Means ultimately after schooling, wherever they will land in their life sphere, they become contented and happy individuals, because all habits are developed in childhood state only. So it's important that all the habits which they are developing during their schooling, these habits need to be like that ultimately lead to very happy individual. So for that, holistic development is very important, not only academics, but the other areas of development, like emotional resilience, confidence building, spiritual development, social development, just like ma'am has said, relationship building. All these are very important if you want to cater to each and every child. For example, if you are developing good relationship with children, only then you will come to know that so and so child is having showing interest in a particular field, and then how you will be catering to the in terms of providing resources to the children, platforms where they can explore their skills. That thing is very important, and that thing is challenging too. But in that thing, if we imbibe technology like artificial intelligence and coding, these kind of things, and we have softwares for proper administration and for assessment. So assessment, AI driven assessment tools, they help a lot in finding out the skills of the students so that teachers can work in that direction. But the biggest challenge is empowerment of teachers, as well as continuous counseling of parents. It's important that time to time we need to invite parents individually also and in groups also, to discuss common issues and to discuss individual issues. Because as children, they come to school and they have to do each and everything, like they have to focus on their academics also, they have to pick up their clubs according to their interests, they should be indulging in some sports, yoga exercises for their physical development. So when we talk of holistic development, we have to cater to each aspect of the personality. But during that grooming process, teachers need to have strong assessment tools to identify the interest of the child. Just like psychometric analysis in some senior classes, it is done to know that which stream the child will be uh, opting after class 10th. So this kind of analysis is there right from the beginning, from the foundational stage, and a wonderful document of foundational stage, NCF has also come up for foundational stage, and in which Panchkosha Vikas is well documented that what kind of activities you will be doing with students to know their interests. So once you know the interest of the child, then second challenge is that how you will customize, because you are catering to a class of 40 students. How you will customize academics or any other activity for individual student. Here comes technology, because assessment tools which are AI driven, they can easily customize, and learning management systems are there where we can control their homework segment at home, that how much time they are spending in doing their homework, what are their interests, whether they are doing the assignments themselves or with the help of parents. In all these things, the most important is that continuous counseling of the parents as well as empowerment of the teachers, so that teachers must be aware of the latest technology tools available, which are particularly for assessment, because as far as content is concerned, already teachers, they have proper degree and they know the content, and the only thing is that the way the content is delivered to the students, some are kinesthetic learners, some are acoustic, means some will only be interested in listening and some will learn only by doing. You need to segregate all type of learners in the class, that should be in the back of mind of the teacher. So teachers need to be trained. That is why CBSE is also doing rigorous training of teachers through capacity building programs, so that they know the NEP and they know that how the NEP will be translated or filtered into the classrooms step by step, because in a single, this can't happen in a single step. And another thing, the biggest challenge is India is a young country. We have huge youth population. It means the future of India lies with the teachers, the how they are dealing with the students, and whether they are really preparing the students for life skills, because life skills are more important than academic skills. Students must be made resilient. They must know that if the situation is adverse or stressful, how to come out of it and how to divert. So multi-skilling is also the need of hour. So that's why empowerment of teachers is very, very essential. At the same time, parent involvement. And another thing which I have practiced in my school, I have seen that parents also come from different spheres. Some are scientists, some are doctors. So we involve parents in counseling students also. In a month, you can have a day where parents who are a working professional in a particular field, or even who are farmers, they can come and tell that how sowing is done and how harvesting is done, what are the challenges they are facing. So in this way, some students can, senior students can be involved in making different kind of projects which can become teaching aids for junior students. So involvement of students in learning of other students is also very, very important. Peer learning, when CBSE is talking of or NEP is talking of peer assessment, parent assessment, along with teacher assessment, peer learning, learning from seniors. If some senior student is instilling moral values or ethics or culture in the junior students, they will definitely pick up from senior brothers and sisters. This I have actually seen, that when in a diverse group where different age groups are there, and if they are preparing some cultural item, not only the item becomes beautiful, but junior kids, they learn so many things from senior kids, that how they should talk, how they should behave, how they should move in the society. So all these things are basically very important. On the whole, I would like to say that if we are preparing students only for academics, they might face some problem in life to come. It's important that we instill life skills, and we prepare them for real world where they can become problem solvers. At the same time, if we are skilling them in a way in the school that they can, uh, design or modulate their own lives, they will become job providers instead of job seekers. That is the need of our, because India being the young country, we need thinkers. We need the students who can do out of box thinking, who can solve problems, who can not only they know cut, copy and paste, they innovate something. That is the need of our innovation is utmost important nowadays. And innovation comes when there is freedom, when there is a relationship, positive relationship building with the teachers and the parents, when students are mentally free and they are out of any kind of fear. Only in exhibitions I've seen that students, they enjoy the activities also, and they express themselves. So how they will be expressing when we have groomed this skill in them, that they can stand out and say what they feel. So catering to emotional development is also extremely important, and all these things are well documented in national education policy as well as NCF foundational stage, which has come up so beautifully. So well begun is half done. During foundational stage, if we have watered the plant, watered these, fed these, children properly, taking care of their nutrition as well as their emotional needs as well as their social needs, rest of the schooling will not be any problem then, because they will develop into independent thinkers, decision makers, and problem solvers of the society. And obviously, they will be very sensitive to environmental issues, and they will definitely help in sustainable development.
I,
Thank you.
I think a phenomenal roundup what Dr. Jasjeet Sood ma'am has presented and taken the principle one to its logical conclusion. While technology is being used for the complexity of personalized assessment and the innovation what she has brought about, the twin principles of continuous empowerment of the teachers across the spectrum, and teachers have been pended with the peers and the parents both. And the other part is counseling of the parents. I think that is the Achilles heels for most of the schools, that parents feel that the entire burden of education is perhaps for those 6 7 hours in the school for 5 days a week, but perhaps two-thirds of the time the students actually spend back home. So this continuum of education from the school to the household, I think that's a phenomenal thing. Perhaps and I think it's a great learning what Madam has presented. I think Dr. Sharda Gupta ma'am mentioned about 57 strong student clubs, and it struck us well that she said that since 1992, almost 40 years, like they have been implementing the spirit and letter of NEP at their school. So we would like to know more, a bit more about those clubs and the and how these clubs are actually helping identification of these unique capabilities of the students, and across these decades what has been the actual outcome at your school, ma'am? Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, it is like, if you talk of those 57 clubs, there is like it starts from the computer club, the debate club, the performing art club. So, there is the various dances. So, there is classical dancing, there's Western dancing, then there's Taekwondo club, then there is English drama, Hindi drama, then there is a culinary art club. So, and then the list goes on and on, because then there is macram club, lip and art club, and the various competitions which keep coming up. So teachers start training the children for that. Card making club, Sanskrit language club, then we have the French club, we have the German club. So all this we had started that time, looking.
Okay, I think some connectivity issue. Yeah, I would request Madam Sood. Yeah,
Somebody who
please.
is
Yeah, please go on, ma'am. There was a bit of a jitter in between. Yeah, yeah, no worries. Please.
Okay. So it is like, some children are highly interested in culinary art.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised that it had equal number of boys, and in fact, more boys in that as compared to girls. And when they, at the end of the club, when they come with their dishes to me in my office, I'm surprised. Like yesterday only, they had come up with sweet khajur, and I said that, why did you think of making this? So they said that, ma'am, Diwali is coming, so
Mm-hmm.
we have prepared this pan khajur, and then they had stuffed it with pan and those things inside khajur, and they had made an amazing dish.
Mm-hmm.
So it is like, they come up with their unique ideas, and then we have some competitions also held in every club, and then we have debate competitions, we have the extempore and all those things. So that's what, as you said, that we had started all this from 1992 itself, that along with regular studies, the children should get something extra. And then we felt that some things are automatically coming up in regular curriculum, like artificial intelligence is now one of the subjects, which was one of the clubs, but now it is a subject which is taught to each and every one. And then we have the Young Engineers Garage, in which they learn the coding and um, the robotics and all such things. So those are some things which we go for. And one more thing, which when I was listening to Jasjeet ma'am, children learn by doing and they learn by seeing. So and one very good example is that you must have, we all are educators, and we must have seen that when children are practicing for annual day, by the end of, sixth day or seventh day, all the children would know all the dances. It's not like, that only one group is knowing the dance, because they keep seeing the practices. You will see these people are dancing on the stage, and rest of the children are doing all that, sitting in their places in the amphitheater. So that is the biggest example of nobody taught them, but they have just learnt by seeing. So, so we have to encash that opportunity, that, okay, if they are so much into learning by seeing and learning by doing, then let's, take them to the lab. So we have a lab activity for, like, if there are 6 science lessons, one is compulsorily a lab lesson. So every child from class 1 to class 12 has to go in the lab. Of course, for senior children, it's compulsory, but then we make it compulsory from class 1 onwards. And we teach them to make parachutes, which when they just, fly on their own, the rockets and everything. So taking them in the open and making them doing such things is, it really helps.
I think it
So
has really been a learning hour in its right earnest, where we have learned so much coming accruing from a simple principle. Like when you have to interpret the constitution, we all the honorable justices, they come back whenever there is a confusion to come back to the preamble. So somewhere or the other, the NEP principles are really presenting that
yes,
foundational preamble to the very elaborate policy, and the fantastic practices which are out there across from three eminent principals, the doyens in their own spaces, that how they have uh, developed it across, closing this learning hour, because great experiments are happening, great inroads are being done. But what are still the challenges? What are the shortcomings still? Like sensitizing teachers might be to a great extent possible because they are under the sway, under the thumb of the principal administratively. But how to sensitize the parents in particular? What has been your personal experiences? So perhaps with that short note, we would conclude today's learning hour. I would start with Madam Surjeet Khanna, especially with the parents, how it is, how the tug of war is happening. Ma'am was smiling when I said that all the education has to happen in the schools 4 to 5, 6 hours, and then we are gung ho in the homes. Madam Surjeet Khanna.
So thank you very much. I will just like to add a tiny bit to what my co-panelists just mentioned about the student leadership, because I so much agree with her on that front. And one very powerful and really amazing experience that we've had in our school is the Students' Council elections are held exactly on the same democratic principles as our Lok Sabha elections. So the students nominate themselves. They are shortlisted in terms of the number through a panel that is of teachers and students, and then it is up to them to take their agenda forward to all the students, and the students vote. It's an online voting, and then after you have cast your vote, you get that black mark on your finger to say you cast your vote today. And there is a proper space where canvassing can happen as per very clearly established rules. So this was one very powerful experience which grew in its range and power more and more as the school progressed, with the students of the council of the previous year contributing majorly to establish the norms for the next year. I also found that, it's important if you are looking for student development by both parents and teachers, it is important to constantly go back to the drawing board, to the vision and mission statement of your school, and say that, say, if you're saying that we will like to, foster skills of the 21st century learner, if that's part of, let's assume that's part of your mission and vision statement, then you need to sit down as a parent and teacher team that इसकी interpretation क्या होगी और किन किन activities में ये बात actualize होगी, and those things have to go into your curriculum. So merely having student welfare, student development, but what makes student welfare happen? What causes development to happen? What sort of activities will precisely be there? What sort of calendar of activities? What kind of exposure? What kind of collaboration? What kind of assessment? Everything needs to go into it if you're going to really talk about things coming through. When we started the school, we were a STEM school. Then we became a STEAM school by adding art integration into it. And then a few years later, we became a STREAM school by adding reading into it, because we realized that even if the machines take over, reading as a powerful skill will need to remain. So you see, you constantly revise the ethos of your school. We revised it 4 times in the 10.5 years that I was there as the founder principals, in order to keep ourselves relevant to student aspirations. Now, coming to where you were talking about bringing greater collaboration with parents, while every school must look closely at its own resources and decide, and no other school's resources can become either your reason for discouragement or lack of inaction, because you go by what you have. It doesn't matter what somebody has. You look at what you have and how you're going to use it. But with growing emphasis on technology, I think conducting baseline assessments to track student milestones is important, which can be uploaded online and can be visible to parents and students. And you got to ensure that these assessments travel beyond academics, and they include things like psychological well-being and mental well-being of the child, design coping mechanisms for parents, for teachers, and for students. So the counselors of the school now are going to be very, very powerful people. And so is the tech team going to be. Also establish a strong learning management systems which share a steady flow of educational resources with parents, teachers, and students on different parameters as per their necessity. Ensure that there's a strong school parent and vice versa communication system. So it's not just dependent on the 6 PTMs in the year. There is scope for virtual parent-teacher conversations as and when it is necessary. Also, put in place digital tools like instant messaging or the apps that the school might like to design, or take the help of a professional board which offers this, and ensure that the social media groups are disciplined groups. Where the rules are very, very properly, emphatically, and clearly laid out for positive interaction, and they do not turn into gossip or lambasting or pulling each other down kind of groups. Document the interventions and the outcomes for whatever is being done for the students, interventions that are being put into place. The outcomes of that must be assessed in order to find a way forward. And there should be a digital record system for all the behavior, especially behavior-based interventions that the school is doing. You know why I think this is important is because one class ends and you lose touch with everything that the child was and was growing towards. Mm-hmm. Even in our school, initially, when we did not have a very strong tech interface, the team was writing down. They were making assessments at the end of the year. They were writing down notes for the next class teacher. And subject teachers were writing notes for the next teacher of math, science, whatever. So that in relation to, let's say, Siddharth is here. Siddharth needs help with this. Siddharth works best if you do this. So that Siddharth had started improving on this area. So this area needs to be taken on. So these were initially handwritten notes, very carefully written and very carefully passed on to the next teacher, so that nobody begins their year, half the year is gone and you don't know the child. But over a period of time, we were able to get tech into it in a big way. So things started getting documented, and then the profiles of the children were available for a kind of a quick scan. Where are you? What is the background history and things like that. So as a result, both parents and teachers were not working in a vacuum. There was a background to every intervention, to every conversation. And that did make a decided difference in the quality of conversation now. And that is not to say it is very easy. It's not. Because the psychology of most parents, when you are trying to intercede on any issue, is that what happens at school is school's responsibility. And it's your job to give me a holistic child, nicely chiseled, beautiful, perfect kind of a professional in the future, a great human being who knows all the festivals, knows all the norms of behavior, knows every kind of respect that's to be rendered, is the most creative child, is up to date with technology, walks smartly, talks smartly, conducts himself in public with great poise and purpose. So you do have a very tall order placed on the schools by parents. But a wise school understands that without the parents playing their role and the child giving the consent, most of these goals cannot be achieved. But if you do manage to get this, then the sky is the limit. Children will amaze you with what they can post, what they can grow into. And, now my children who passed out about 5 years ago, 4 to 5 years ago, they have just kind of finished their graduation. Some of them have just started working. And, then now when they write to me, when they respond to me on LinkedIn, or they respond to me on my Instagram page with so much maturity, I'm surprised. Hey, Bache, you have grown so much. Wow, this is amazing. How well articulated, how well thought about, And, oh, all right, you're doing this also. Oh, you're doing this also. I never thought they would become the kind of entrepreneurs that I see them now. There's just no fear in them. And it's like the world is their oyster shell, and, aane do, bas aane do, and I'm ready. Mm-hmm. So now you find that all the dots are connecting. even if at that time you were not very sure. So I think you kind of, as a school, you outline your priorities, you give a thorough thought to what your modes of action are. Go ahead. Don't be too scared of failure or of not achieving, and trust yourself, trust your child, and trust the parents, and trust providence. Yeah, that makes sense.
This is marvelous, ma'am. And bottom line, what madam said, that you go by what you have. Competing with the larger space is fine, but then recognizing your own unique capabilities of that particular learning community, I think that is where the comparative advantage of that learning community lies in, so very well. And madam has entailed the entire precept of know your child and leveraging the digital technologies, as Dr. Surbi would agree upon. And I would like to bring up for a moment as to how the patient records, the digital healthcare records, they come to a lot of help to the entire care continuum in the healthcare space. So similarly, what Madam Khanna has espoused is a know your child kind of a digital record, whereby class after class, even the teachers and the parents and the 360-degree evaluation apart from the report card can be presented to anyone or everyone who is interested in mentoring that child, grooming that child. And finally, they say that it takes a village to rear a child over there. So perhaps Dr. Jasjeet Sood ma'am, because she mentioned a lot about counseling the parents. So Haryana ke andar mein, it's a tough space for that matter. So what is your felt experiences in interacting with the parents in particular, and how you are coping up with that?
Basically, I believe that human personality is not just physical body, it is beyond that. Basically, it is complex system that includes, mind also, intellect also, bliss, functions, emotions, so many things. And this applies to parents also. So when parents turn up, the teachers need to be empowered that how they will be addressing or representing the outcomes of children, uh, the positive aspects of the child personality that need to be shown, and where some work is required, that strategy need to be discussed with the students. And another thing I've seen that many parents turn up with the bundle of problems, like small children, they are more on junk food. So we have specialized counseling sessions on that, wherein we involve parents in some activities, like we tell them that whatever the child is having from outside, collect that wrapper, maybe it is noodle, kurkure, or anything. You need to collect these wrappers, and then at the end of the month just find out how much preservative, how much added sugars are going in the body. This is just to sensitize parents, because once you sensitize parents about the seriousness of the issue, they also devise some methods themselves. And secondly, the teachers also know the issue, that this is the ground reality. The child is so much involved with the consuming so much of junk food. So we do activities related to food, healthy food concept, junk food concept, traditional food we are, promoting. And grandparents day celebration is there, where we invite grandparents, and they turn up with that sometimes with their traditional sweets and other things. So basically, if you really want to groom your institution that it bears fruits, you need to be grounded. That is important. You need to be tied to the roots. And for that, Indian tradition and culture is so rich, so that is propagated in schools. That is why this year, in our student, our alumni represented in Olympics also. Nishant Dev, he is boxer. And our student Anshul Kamboj is in IPL Bombay and is selected for Asia Cup. So we have a lot of other achievements. These are the two ultimate achievements, but we have a lot of other achievements in sports. And CA topper last year, India CA topper was from our school. She studied right from first to 12th in our school, because we make quality circles where we divide the students, that these students, they are independent thinkers. Basically, we need to provide them with resources and emotional support. And there are some students where we need to really work on them, and we tie them with other students also, and teachers also focus. So the need, we are in 21st century, and 2 decades are already over. This is the third decade of 21st century. Things are changing so fast. So it is a need of our is adaptive learning techniques, wherein independently using technology, children learn, and their difficulty level of learning keeps on increasing as they learn. So these kind of things need to be taught to the teachers every day. Every day means there must be around 10 to 15 minutes wherein teachers are empowering themselves, because every day some new software comes up having wonderful things. And you need to prioritize the things, that what is important right now. And another thing, because addressing diversity is a so beautiful thing I have experienced in my life. Children are diverse in your school. They are from diverse background, culture, as well as their needs are diverse. And I think the beauty is in that celebrate their diversity also, their cultural diversity also. At the same time, do your bit. Not means we as teachers and as principals need to do a lot of hard work, so that we can create wonderful future for this nation, because this nation is young. That is very, very sensitive.
Thank you. Thank you so
And
much,
the
ma'am.
youth is in our hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think Madam Khanna touched upon the technological aspect of it all. Dr. Sood now took us further into tethering with traditions, because that is where being rootedness creates that larger space. I would, with closing remarks, Dr. Sharda Gupta, there is so much to be done in those 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. And hard work is fine, but where is the time? So how do you manage it? I think our educators, our teachers are the most busy people on the planet. Perhaps this needs to be brought about.
Very
So
true.
how do you actually take out time to do so much to manage the 57 long groups? 64 कलाओं की बातें तो हमारे परंपरा में होती हैं, and you have touched upon the 57 mark. So how do you manage the time, ma'am? With this, we will close today's learning hour. We are touching upon the 60-minute limit over there. So, Dr. Sharda Gupta, ma'am. Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah, please.
Because the bell was ringing, I never
Please,
wanted
ma'am.
the section
Yeah.
to get disturbed. The thing is that a perfect planning is very important for conducting all this. So our calendar gets prepared a month before we end the year.
Okay.
Before we get into the next year, we already know that, okay, these were the things which we had lacked in the last year. So we keep noting it down, and already, like, being a CBSE school, there are so many things which keep coming up. Like, suddenly Veer Gatha will come, suddenly something else will come. Now, suddenly, being the city coordinators, the CTA examinations would come, the Parak would come. So we have to keep time for all these things. And for that, perfect planning is very, very important. And then, like, talking about all these things from both the ma'ams, it is like you have to take your parents and children into confidence, and you have to explain to them that whatever we are doing is for your good and your child's good. So automatically they connect with you. They give us the authority कि मैम इसके साथ जो करना है करो. So we say that हम तो कर ही रहे हैं, आप इसको घर पर संभालिए. कुछ चीजें जो इसने नहीं करनी है वो इससे नहीं करवाइए. Like control your phone का things. Automatically the child will stay away from phones.
Dr. Surbi, your vote of thanks so that we can conclude. I think this is a phenomenal learning hour, a great head start. Vote of thanks.
Indeed, it has been a scintillating session and moment for us to witness, one after the other, such I should say intriguing and insightful experiences and thoughts on the, how to it gets the NEP 2020 gets implemented into the institutional educational practices. And the NEP is aligned with the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, and very much I think we are moving towards creating the vibrant knowledge society, in our country. And I'm sure that with these insights and precious insights, I take this moment from on behalf of all of us at Rethink India to thank Honorable Madam Surjeet Khanna. She is a legend in herself, and for taking out precious time for her from her, such vast, schedules, and to give us her precious and such beautiful insights, Madam Dr. Jasjeet Sood from the land of Karnal, to have, really instilled that, that energy and power of the Bhagavad Gita, into us from the land of Kurukshetra. And also Dr. Sharda Gupta ma'am, as madam's name is, Sharda. So, truly an embodiment of knowledge and bliss, and, radiating the power of knowledge, where we say that the mind is, rules over matter. And that is what I am sure this session is giving us more and more power, lighting the torch for. Thank yous once again from all of us at Rethink India, and once again wishing a very powerful year ahead.
So we'll be back with the NEP Principle 2 to carry on this discourse further and forward. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you.